What is going on, people? It's Matt from Liquid Loans. In this video, I'm joined by a content creator who hasn't been around that long, but he's stacking up the subs, putting in the work. I'm really enjoying his breakdowns, his live streams, and all his content. So with no further ado, I'm excited to welcome Mr. CRYPTOGRFX to the stream.
Well, thanks so much, Matt. Appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, good to see you, man. I really appreciate your content. Your channel's grown really fast. I think you're at 7 and a bit thousand at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's halfway through 7,000 now, roughly, which is crazy.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So for the people who don't know you at home, I'm sure a lot of the viewers do, maybe you can give us a little bio and background about yourself, how you got into crypto and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Growing up, I was kind of a sports guy, played a lot of different sports, and kind of out of high school, I always had a curiosity for like finance, how to make money. I had like an entrepreneurial mindset, but just not the entrepreneurial know-how. So I could never quite figure things out. And I guess a year, it would have been 2021 or last year in maybe the springtime. I had been hearing, obviously, and known about crypto for a while, and definitely had opinions on it, but didn't really want to do anything about it. Didn't make sense to me, but finally I was convinced that I should look into it. And I kind of got hooked. And basically, I think it was like April or March, roughly, I read like the first book I'd ever read on crypto, which is Bitcoin for Dummies, and then Blockchain for Dummies, and slowly got hooked and sucked into the rabbit hole. And I threw some money at random things here and there, got hooked more. And then I actually found Hex through Whales Only in August. And at that point, I was like, this is the thing I had been looking for, and made the most sense to me. I went all in, found the community of the Hexkins and all the people that are either in it or building on PulseChain. And it's just been kind of a low-key obsession ever since, which has led to now and with the YouTube channel and just helping people try to understand what I'm trying to understand.
That's awesome, man. I mean, obviously, I think you have to, or in my opinion, I think you have to go down the rabbit hole hard like you did, right? You become kind of obsessed with it, and then you're finding Ethereum, then it's altcoins, and then hopefully you find a good project like Hex. But the fact you've taken it to the next level and now you're teaching others, I think is not only an asset to the community, but helps you understand things better. Am I correct?
Oh, 100%. Well, I appreciate that for one. And two, yeah, it definitely does. I know that as like when I was growing up, I always had this tendency to when I learned something, I'd try and like coach people on. Like I was a goalie in hockey, and I would always be the goalie coach at these practices. In skiing, I was a freestyle ski coach for 5 years. And what I noticed was the more I taught, like you're just saying, the better I got at the things I was teaching, and the more deeply I understood them. So 100% agree with what you just said.
That's awesome, man. And you said you growing up in school, you're an athlete and stuff. And I'm sure you had times when you were obsessed with sports and getting better at certain techniques, right? And you're probably there after school or before school, like working on stuff. And that probably crosses over into other things that you enjoy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. With hockey, it was like there was times when I was very competitive in it, and there was like 14 for a period of time anyways. There's 14 times a week I was playing hockey, sometimes before school, then right after, sometimes twice in a night. But yeah, it was an obsession. That was with all the things essentially that I've ever taken on. Was I have to know it, and I have to know it and be able to do it as best I possibly can, or I can't do it at all.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That all or nothing. I get that too. And I'm the same. I came from a sporting background. So for you, you did hockey, skiing. Were they your two main sports?
Yeah, those are the two main ones. I dabbled in like golf and what else? Did like motocross and mountain biking and all sorts of things, essentially. Anything I got my hands on, I tried. But yeah, skiing and hockey were the main two for me. What about you?
Yeah, my background, I started doing martial arts from a young age, and but my dad was an athlete growing up, and he was a national athlete, and I think I got some good genetics from him. So kind of like you, whatever I put my hand to, I definitely wasn't just like the most gifted guy, but if I worked hard, I was a good track athlete and martial arts. And then I love skiing, man. I love skiing so much, snowboarding. So I live in Europe at the moment, and growing up, I always went to the Alps in France and Switzerland. And then I lived in Asia for a long time too.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if you've been to Japan, but they've got amazing skiing there too.
I have heard. Is it Nagano? Is the hotspot or one of them?
There's two spots that I've been to, which I think are the best spots. There's Nagano, which is about 3 hours north of Tokyo, and then you have Hokkaido, which is an island,
right,
in the most northern part. And there's a place called Niseko. Man, the powder, it sits just south of Siberia, and it gets hammered by the best powder in the world. It's like, it's amazing. So
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think you guys. Where's the place in America? Is it Jackson Hole or something? I'm
not sure, actually. I'm actually Canadian.
Oh, you're Canadian. Okay, sorry.
No
Okay.
problem.
Where are you in Canada?
I'm in
If you don't,
BC.
don't dox yourself, but if you
That's
can.
okay. Yeah, I'm in British Columbia.
Okay, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
on
So
the
you
West
get some
Coast.
good snow.
I have access to good snow. Like we have Whistler Blackcomb or
Yeah.
Whistler, which is obviously world renowned, but I don't think it quite compares to like the place we're speaking about in Japan or some of these other places, but it's pretty damn good. So that's been a lot of fun to be able to go there.
Yeah, Whistler's world renowned. I've never been out to Canada, unfortunately, for skiing, but I think you know I think Japan has some of the best powder,
Mhm.
but I think that places like Whistler and yeah, those places have some of the best runs, right? Like amazing,
Oh,
amazing scenery and just
it's
unbelievable.
yeah, it's so nice. I mean, like they have the glacier up there too, and so in the summer, you basically get skiing for like what is it, like 7-8 months of the year, or no, maybe it's like November to probably April, end of April. You can ski all year. And there's the one thing about the Whistler stuff is they have the terrain that's so vast. You can go on the front side, back side. You can hike the different parts of the mountain. But there's also the terrain park, which is world renowned. They have some of the best park builders, the best features they build, and well, I mean, relatively speaking, but still, it's amazing. So they have like everything covered as far as terrain, powder, park, variation. You can go hiking, everything. It's awesome.
Oh man! Well, now the world's opening back up because I know you guys had some strict lockdown laws going on there.
Yep.
That's definitely somewhere on the bucket list because I've been meaning to go there for ages. And you got the whole of North America has everything, right? I mean, the Rockies pretty much run all the way through Canada down to down through America and stuff. But yeah, skiing, snowboarding, winter sports, amazing, man, amazing. Yep. And I guess getting into crypto and getting more freedom that you can spend your time doing stuff like that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I would love to be able to if everything goes the way I think you and I are thinking it's going to go, that's definitely on the way. That's definitely on the list to make a habit of, for sure.
For sure, man. For sure. Winters, I mean, either it's going to be somewhere like Canada or Japan where, there's nothing. If someone's watching this and they haven't skied or snowboard, first obviously take some lessons, but there's nothing better than hitting the slopes all day and then hitting the hot tub after and getting some good food. And you've spent the day well, you know what I mean?
Yep, you're exhausted and so sore the next morning, but you're so damn satisfied.
Oh man, the best. Well, absolutely. Listen, I just saw, talking about how things may go, I just saw your PulseChain prediction video, which was really good. A real good breakdown of what you think the starting price could be. And
yes,
obviously everyone loves a price prediction video. So sorry to put you on the spot, but to extrapolate that, do you have anything a bit, roughly maybe 3 months, 6 months, 12 months where you're looking at?
Well, I have been thinking about this a lot, and it's really difficult to try and even put a number to roughly. And I honestly personally hate putting a number, anything as much as possible. Only reason I released the video yesterday was because I think it's relevant for the people who are going to be pre-bridge trading to know roughly what the price will be initially, because after that it's gone, everything changing, you don't know. But like 3 months down the road, I mean, Ethereum did a 40-ish X in its first year. And I think 3 months down the road, just because there's more people that know about it, there's free tokens on the network for the airdrop. I mean, there's a lot more going on. I think that we could probably see, like, I don't know, maybe a 10 to a 20x within like maybe half a year. And maybe that's the top before we go into a dip. But I think that's a healthy estimation, because I think a lot of people are really going to want to get on board. And there's a lot more people that didn't get into that PulseChain sacrifice. So I think for that reason alone, that's going to help the price want to move significantly. But so I'll say 10 to 20x within 3-6 months is my prediction.
I don't think anyone's going to be upset about that. Obviously, we have a lot more moon predictions, but still, when you look at any layer 1 launch, they do pretty well. And like you said, this has never been done before. You've got the full system state copy. You've got this cheaper, faster EVM compatible blockchain. You've got things like Solana and stuff going down, right?
All the time.
Every other week it's down and has to be rebooted and stuff like that. So it's a super, super exciting experiment that we've never seen before. And, whether it launches in a bull market or a bear market, it's just, how could you ignore it? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. It's almost like it's going to be put in a position to be the shining star if it comes out anytime within the window of everything going down right now. So I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy week last week, wasn't it, in crypto?
Yep.
Obviously,
oh man,
not only was the markets dipping, which they do and stuff, and I think it's safe to say that we're definitely not in a bull market, but just the whole Luna thing dragging everyone down, and it just it shook me out of, a bit of a stupor as well, to be like, okay, you need to really, really, be on the ball here and investing in good projects and not just going with the crowd. Because obviously Luna had a big community behind it, and they were a top 10 crypto, and then it vaporized overnight, which is just crazy.
It's heartbreaking, honestly, to think about that many people that just got completely wrecked, like overnight. I mean, yeah, and you're right. It is very eye-opening to, to make sure you're in good projects, and also to, to be that person who is talking about the good projects and trying to make people aware of the things that aren't going to necessarily have the situation that happened with Luna, because that's obviously worst case. You want no one to ever have to go through that. So I think you're bang on.
Yeah, just to see people. I mean, what shocked me was the whole thing, and then a lot of the lack of empathy, on Twitter from people as well, just saying like, "Oh, you didn't invest in this project," da, 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 da. And it's like, man, have some empathy, man. These are human beings, and they've lost, some of them, their life savings. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if you saw KSI. Do you know the guy, the YouTuber?
I don't know if I will. Maybe if I saw him, I would, but I did not ring the bell.
Yeah, he's a British YouTuber, and he's obviously got into crypto in the last few years. And he's got this, I think it's KSI Crypto, whatever. Anyway, he put in $2.8 million when he saw Luna dip, thinking it was a dip, and that $2.8 million is now worth less than $100.
Oh.
So, I mean,
oh my God,
there's horror stories out there. So yeah, you're right. It's good to educate people on stuff that is, immutable, isn't centralized, has no admin keys, and that's kind of come from this Richard Hart ethos. And obviously yourself and other content creators are educating people, because it's so easy to have that confirmation bias. You see a lot of people piling into one thing, and you're like, oh yeah, it's fine. And then, I mean, we've had crazy dips in crypto, but to see something just vaporize within 2 days, right? Within less than 48 hours.
It's insane. And I mean, like, it was sad too, because you see like just comments that were made by Do Kwon like 9 days prior on an interview. And then for that to happen, I mean, like, I don't even want to say the comments, because it's just twisting the knife essentially. But, I think you know what I'm referring to. I think a lot of people in the chat will, and it's like, it's crazy, the whole thing, how the whole scenario played out in its entirety, and how many people got wrecked, and how many people still think that there's like a dip and are still buying and still aren't aware of what's actually happening.
It's just a black hole, right? Yeah. Like, you're just throwing money, it's just know when to jump ship. And there's a difference between, hey, there's been a 70% retracement, and obviously just diamond hand, it will come back to, something that goes to zero overnight. So obviously it's a wake-up call for everyone to really do your own research and find good projects. But let's pivot. That's a bit of a negative, to go to the positive. Obviously, we thought PulseChain was going to be mid-March. It seems like it's been delayed from the audit. Do you have any ideas do you think it's going to be this month, or maybe next month?
I mean, I was already kind of speculating that it wouldn't be mid-May. I was thinking that, the patterns of the language used versus what's actually been happening, it's like, if they say a target of mid-May, well, it's probably another 2 or 4 weeks. So I was expecting mid-May. Okay, maybe end of May is the best that we get. And I mean, if they only have one bug, the thing is, I don't know anything about development, so I can't say how long it takes to obviously fix a bug or get the audit done that they want to get done. But assuming it's something that is fairly straightforward and there's a process that can be done, I mean, maybe we see early June, end of May still. But I'm at this point, I'm kind of just okay with whenever. I would obviously like the sooner the better, but that's where I'm at this point.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. I mean, it's so close. Come on, we're closer than we've ever been before. But yeah, every time you think something's going to happen, kind of like the markets, right? Every time you think something's going to happen, something opposite happens. So everyone's like, Bitcoin's going to 100K, maybe 300K in 2021. No. We're launching on this date for sure. So I guess it's kind of like a fractal of life. In life, normally you make plans and life has other plans for you. So
every single time, yes.
So it's good to kind of be flexible and have your plan on what you're going to do when mainnet goes live. But I think a lot of people, or maybe a lot of us, I'm guilty of it too, dementing myself on Twitter, right? Checking every day, right? What's Richard said?
Oh yeah, exactly. It's hard not to when it's such an exciting situation. But yeah, keeping yourself in check and just like looking with just the curiosities for the curiosity's sake, instead of like being hopeful that today's the day. You're going to drive yourself nuts if you're looking every single day at the price chart or at Richard Hart's tweets, waiting for that magical tweet saying PulseChain's live. You're going to all your hair is going to be gone because you're going to have ripped it out. I mean, it'll have felt like you've lived 10 years in however long it takes from now till PulseChain launches, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's really good advice. And you see people say it a lot, but it's true. Like, especially when the weekend comes around, get out, see family, see friends. If
Totally.
you live in somewhere beautiful like Canada, right? Go hiking, go
Yep.
walking, you know, just, I like to do it like on the weekends. I normally meet up with some family and we'll go for like a long walk, you know, in the countryside. And it sounds cheesy and it sounds cliche, but it does like reboot your brain, because
Absolutely.
I love crypto, you love crypto, but when you're staring at a screen all day and you know, your subconscious mind absorbs that, and you go to bed and you're dreaming about it, right? You're waking up and you're thinking about charts and, oh, was it launched? Did I miss it? And all this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's that balance. It's like, yes, learn about the testnet, play with the testnet, become okay with how things are going to be, but also there's a fine line. Don't go into that, you know, 24/7 refreshing your staker app and stuff, because I think that's a recipe for some unhealthy mind patterns for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. And like what you're alluding to essentially is like, you know, crypto isn't life. Crypto is a part of life, and you can't neglect the rest of your life and the rest of possible experiences and your own well-being to just, you know, pay attention to this one little thing. Life is so much greater with the experiences and the relationships you can have. And if this gets you to the place where you can, you know, have better relationships and better experiences, awesome. But it still shouldn't take up every waking moment of your thoughts, energy, and time. You know, you need, like you said, you need that balance. You absolutely need that balance.
Yeah, man, 100%. It's such an oxymoron because let's be honest, who wants to just stack crypto or cash or any asset for the sake of it, right? Because what can you do with it in the end of the day? You want it so you can have the freedom to spend more time with your friends and family, not work the job that you don't enjoy,
Yep.
Go on holiday when you want, you know, live mortgage free, whatever. But then, and then listen, I'm not trying to say that I'm on the hill. Like, I'm doing this. I've checked my staker app too much. I've refreshed CoinGecko and whatever, and Nomics a lot. So yeah, it's good to like we said at the beginning of this interview, right? You know, teach what you need to learn, because you know, when you hear yourself explaining like that, you're like, yeah, take some time to breathe, go outside. I like to work out every day. I'm sure you're still active.
I try to be. I've been less as I get more focused on this. I've been definitely a little too focused. So I need, speaking of the balance, I need to remember the balance a lot. But when I remember, I do. Yes. But that's awesome to hear you are. It's great that you're keeping active and fit.
Yeah, I think like working out and getting those endorphins and dopamine firing off, even if I don't feel like it, I never finish a workout and regret it, right? So a lot of the time I'm like, okay, go and work out now. And then you do it and you're like, okay, I'm glad I did that. De-stress and just kind of finding that middle ground. But let's say PulseChain does go live next month or in the next 4 weeks or so. What is going to be your play?
Right. Great question. The more I learn about everything going on under the hood, the more I am just wanting to either completely sit back and wait out until after the bridge to make any decisions, or make a decision immediately on switching for Pulse. Because that is the one thing that I missed out on, just due to the timing of learning about the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, you said August, right?
Yeah. So I literally
missed out.
I literally just, because I found out about Hex, and then I remember I was searching Hex and there was a video on the PulseChain sacrifice, and I found one video of some guy talking about it, but I think it was on like one of the last days of the sacrifice. And so I had just missed it. I couldn't find out enough about it to get in, obviously. So I obviously would like to get some Pulse. I'm not that concerned. I like PulseX a lot. I think it's great. I think Hex is amazing. But I think that for my plans, you know, come mainnet going live, I'll like to get some Pulse, you know, but I think the main thing that I'm more focused on is utilizing PulseX as the powerhouse to not have to bring any additional capital in from outside of what I already have, and basically build my portfolio using something like PulseX to take rewards and dollar cost average continuously, because I'm okay with what I have. And I think that even just getting a little bit more Pulse would just be like cherry on top, you know? So I have a pretty conservative strategy for the most part, to be honest.
Yeah, I like the video, you know, the one we just talked about earlier, where you did your like, you know, price prediction from launch, because you were saying, listen, this is what could happen with bridge, with the bridge and stuff. But obviously you need to be aware that if you trade before the bridge, it could go south quickly compared to what the bridge. But then again, obviously there could be opportunities as well. So I think that's going to be, for a lot of people in crypto, it's easy to be rational when there's nothing there, but then when it's in front of you, right, and it's there live, and you can see, wow, I could trade this for this, then a lot of people are going to want to do that. So with your PulseX, you're going to try and add to that, or you're going to or you're going to say you maybe try and swap for some pulse if you see a dip?
Right. I mean, if there's some crazy dip and I'm able to actually do some kind of calculations, either if it's pre-bridge that makes it all make sense enough to know that I'm getting a good deal, which honestly I think is super unlikely with the amount of math and things you have to do to actually make it make sense and be right.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to be just sitting on the sidelines for the pre-bridge stuff, watching it, learning from it, and waiting for the post-bridge for the pools to come on, and then using the pool rewards to, I might buy a little bit of PulseX if there's a dip. Like the strategy I really like that I'll be using is to take those rewards and divide them into like either 60-40, 70-30, or 80-20, and take the smaller portion and hold it on the sidelines and dollar cost average into whatever token that I'm wanting to use, whether or wanting to buy, whether it's Pulse, PulseX, Hex, or whatever else, right? And dollar cost average with that, but then take that smaller bag, let it build up. And when there's a dip on something that's big, just throw the bag at that and then catch up for the dollar cost averaging or to make up for what the dollar cost averaging couldn't get me.
That's really clever, because as much as we want things to go to the moon, they retrace, they come back, they come and test a lot of the time that 618 if you pull out the fib. And I think that's going to be really smart. Those staking pools are going to be nice as well. The PulseX.
Yes.
Pools.
Oh yeah.
Have you played around with the Binance Smart Chain, the syrup pools at all?
Not really. I've looked into them a tiny bit, but I've just kind of seen people talking about it. I have been off Binance. I have really only participated in Ethereum. So I have little to no experience, just basic understandings of the logistics and how it all works kind of under the hood.
But it's pretty much the same as those PulseX staking pools. And I think from what I've heard, we're going to have to wait a few weeks until people vote on the pools, obviously through the DAO.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
But it's going to be, it's very user friendly. It's pretty much, there's no risk unless you give away your keys, obviously. And obviously we'll get on security in a bit because you did a good video on Ledger recently. But you can just put your tokens there, earn another token, and obviously sell some of that, compound it, take profits, whatever. And when I first got into crypto and I was using Binance Smart Chain and stuff, I was doing that on the syrup. They're called the syrup pools, on PancakeSwap. And it was great. It was a great way to get into DeFi, and it prepared me for obviously what's coming down the pipe with the PulseChain. So that's a good strategy, man. That's going to be great.
Yeah. What about you? What's your strategy? Or what is your line of thinking going into PulseChain?
So I was talking to Fashion Coder yesterday about this, and luckily I sacrificed for PulseChain and PulseX.
Amazing.
So I'm kind of I got in there just kind of before, actually. I found out about just before. I can't remember exactly, it was a month or so. But yeah, I can understand why, even if you found out on the last day or the middle, because you do need to go down the rabbit hole. Because when you first hear about a sacrifice and all this new stuff, you'd be stupid just to throw money without doing your research. And I know probably a lot of people did. But you need to go down the rabbit hole. Luckily, I had the heads up, and I was watching the live streams with Richard Hart and stuff. So I got into both of those. I think with Pulse, I'm going to just sit back and relax, especially when the mainnet goes live, and stake my Pulse with a validator. And then once Liquid loans the protocol's out, use some of that, depending on what's going on with the markets, to get some liquidity and reinvest that. With my PulseX, definitely not selling any of that. I'm going to be putting that in some of the staking pools, depending on obviously what's got the best yield, and using that just probably to grow my PulseX bag, right? So you earn the token and then swap that for PulseX on the DEX, and then put it back in and rinse and repeat. I've obviously got my Hex stakes, which I'm going to be copied over, and I'm staked. So I've got a little bit of liquid Hex. So I'm not actually 100% staked. So I've got a little bit of liquid Hex that I think when that gets copied over, which will be P Hex, and everyone's going to call it just Hex on PulseChain. I think I'm going to not stake that, and I'm going to hold that liquid for any dips to maybe pick up some more Pulse.
Right. I like that, actually. Yeah, I like that a lot. It's a good idea.
So that's probably pretty much going to be it. But again, in the heat of the moment, things are going to come up, and you need to be calm, and not, because of course there's going to be meme coins, there's going to be stuff pumping, and I think it's good to have these kind of flexible plans, but stay the course. So I'm definitely not going to jeopardize my Pulse or PulseX or anything. That liquid bag of Hex hopefully will pick up some Pulse on a dip, or if there's anything that I think is a good opportunity at the time, then again I can use that. But most of the time it's basically going to be, don't try and get too cute, because I don't want to risk these, where these could be in a couple of years.
Yep, I think that's bang on. I'm curious. So, what do you think now? Just on a quick note with the hex situation between hex and Ethereum, there's a lot of talk about people asking, what hex on Ethereum is going to do versus hex on PulseChain, higher or lower price point. What do you think?
I think it's going to take a dip, once it goes live, because of course there's no doubting that a lot of people are buying hex for the copy. I'm one of those people, right? I've brought some hex through the last couple of months, just DCAing in, knowing that I'm getting a copy, right? It's 2 for 1. So, that's no secret. People are doing that.
Of course.
Personally, I probably won't be selling mine. I'll probably be bridging mine over. And again, using that hex to try and pick up some more pulse or some more pulse X, again, depending on what's going on with the market.
Of course.
But short term, I think, and again, all speculation, I think we'll see a dip on Ethereum. And I think we'll see hex on PulseChain run up quite fast. To see parity would be great.
Yeah.
Right? Double your money overnight or whatever would be great.
Yep.
It's going to be the most liquid ERC20 for sure.
Definitely.
Especially at the beginning, or one of them at least. So yeah, I think in the short term we're going to see eHex dip, and in the long term I think we're going to see pHex overtake it, just because of the ease of onboarding and just because of the cheap fees.
Totally. Well, especially if you get a centralized exchange that actually has Pulse listed on it. I mean, then it just gets easier and easier and easier and cheaper, right? So I mean, that's huge.
Is it Binance? I've seen people screenshot that on Twitter and say, and Binance has Pulse listed already. Is that true?
I've seen the screenshot, but I'm in the same boat as you. I'm wondering. I have no idea. A part of me hopes it isn't, for obviously many reasons, but I mean, it is what it is. If they list it, cool. We got Pulse is listed on a centralized exchange. I think that's just amazing in general.
Yeah, there's two camps to this, right? Some people are like, no, DeFi forever, we don't need them. And then other people are like, no, we want it, obviously, because the more people that pile in. I'm happy either way, right? I think enough people, I think you probably just saw on Twitter recently, I think we just hit 300,000 wallets for Hex.
Yep.
So the community is growing thanks to people like you and others who are making good content. And of course the word is spreading, but you can't deny that if it pops up on Binance or Coinbase, because so many people do hold crypto, but don't know anything about hardware wallets or their own keys, and they just buy tickers they see on centralized exchanges. So there's no doubt that it would do well for adoption.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think the thing is we got to look at you may not like the fact that it's on centralized exchange, but the fact that it's making it so much easier to go from fiat to the thing you want is actually really, really good for adoption, even if the thing that's allowing people to, or the organization behind it, you may not be a fan of their underlying premise. I mean, like the fact that there's an ease of use to get on board, I think that's way too big of a positive to outweigh the negative side of the equation, in my opinion, at least anyways.
Yeah, you don't have to be a fan of everything. Come on, exactly. I'm not a huge fan of American Express, but I use them, right? Because every time I use their card, I get points, and I can use that for flights or whatever. So I'm not a huge fan of the Bank of England or Barclays Bank here, but I use them because, again, I can pay my bills and I get a debit card from them. So
exactly, it's a necessary evil.
Exactly. What I see a lot of the time, not just in crypto, in life in general, a lot of people want black and whites, right? Because life's it's so nuanced that we want to kind of put ourselves in boxes. And I understand we want yes, no, black, white, up, down, left, right. But life isn't like that. Life is nuanced. It's messy. And as much as we hate the centralization, we're going to need it to bring on the masses, right? How many people hold crypto in the world? A tiny fraction. How many people are there? 8 billion. So
exactly. Oh, well, yeah. And if we didn't have these exchanges, and think about the adoption rate we have as it is. Crypto, for the average person that finds out about it, if they watch our stream, they're going to be it's going to be the most daunting thing to think about if they understand that they have to then send money to some person on an exchange. Then they have to get a wallet that's detached from it, buy a crypto on the main exchange, then send it out, then go to another website and buy it. And then holy crap, I've got 24 words that I have to take care of and put somewhere. Most people, when I was originally getting into Hex, I was trying to talk to some friends about it. And even the fact that they had to send money off of an exchange to another wallet, they're like, nope, I'm out. Right. And so if we're making this more complicated, we are reducing the probability that we ever get adoption. Right.
Yeah. Dude, it's like trying to drink from a fire hose, right? When you try and teach people about crypto. And
Perfect.
even sending money for most people from their bank to a crypto exchange and buying Bitcoin exchange, especially you open up Binance or you open up Kraken, it looks like a spaceship, right? All these numbers are flashing up and everything's changing and limit orders and market orders and what's all that. Now you're telling them, okay, first you need a MetaMask, but then you need a hardware wallet behind that. And then you've got the seed phrase. And don't forget to never put this here and there. And it's like, it's step by step. And you really need to lead people by the hand. And not only that, crypto's got a bad name, right? Because obviously the government doesn't like it. So they're always putting out like crypto crashing again or Bitcoin going to zero. And since I've been in crypto, I've lost count how many times my dad's forwarded me stuff on WhatsApp saying, oh my God, I've just seen this article in the paper, Bitcoin crashing, be careful. And I'm like, it's fine.
Yep. They're always framing it in the most negative way possible to suit their narrative that supports the system that's already in place.
Yeah. 100%. We have people in the UK, I'm sure you do in Canada and obviously in the States, who are like, finance experts. And there's a guy here in the UK called Martin Lewis, and they'll ask him about Bitcoin, Ethereum and stuff. And he's like, these are very, very volatile assets. I mean, people have made money, but they're very risky. Now, if you're someone just sitting at home watching that, with the news or, with the morning breakfast show, whatever, you're just like, forget it, right? Like,
yeah, you're out.
I don't want to lose 90% of my money. I'm out. So, they're always framing it in that, yes, people have made money, but a lot of people have lost a lot of money and all this stuff. And it's going to take a while before we get adoption. So definitely going back to basics and being like, okay, although I'd love everyone to have a Trezor or a Ledger and, be clued up, if you buy some Pulse on exchange and you keep it there, and then in a year's time, it's 100x or 1000x, good for you.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. It is what it is. We kind of need it. So I accept it as much as I maybe don't like the company.
Yeah, me too, man. You did a great video on Ledger. Was it Ledger? Yeah, it was Ledger recently. And what would be your like tips to your top security tips to no coiners or beginners in crypto?
So yeah, for beginners in crypto, I mean, when it comes to like, let's say you're getting into Hex first, right? If you're in Hex and you're understanding the staking, I mean, if you're staking for years and years at a time, you're tied to that wallet permanently until that stake is done. Yeah. So don't make long-term decisions until you fully understand why you're holding a wallet and how secure it is. So to be secure, I mean, the simplest thing that I've come across, and this is thanks to Papa B, I love the strategy of, buy a $200 or $300 Asus computer and something that's nice and secure and doesn't have any weird things going on under the hood. And you can even have a MetaMask strictly attached to that. You can do a ledger if you like, but the computer is kind of acting as a ledger in itself, because if you're only using it for crypto and your seed words are offline, which I guess that's a part of the whole thing is and I think this is a given for a lot of us that are in the know already, but seed words should never enter digital form whatsoever, ever. Always analog, which means just write it down or imprint it on something. Yep. And there's so many complicated ways to do it, but really just write it down, keep it somewhere secure. Yep. But the computer has been my favorite thing that I've learned so far. Getting a separate computer, having a nothing but crypto use case for the computer, having a MetaMask in an extreme case ledger, and then only doing everything there is my personal best tip, I would say. If you want to go to the extreme, but I guess best tip for beginners who are getting into it, take your time. Take your damn time. You don't need to rush. You don't have, if you're acting on FOMO, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to send money to the wrong place. You're going to click the wrong button. You're going to go to the wrong website, or you're going to buy a thing at the top when you think it's going to go up and then it's going to crash down on you. I guess it's security and just crypto in general, but yeah, for security, go slow, go nice and slow, double check everything, cut once.
100%, man. Like I learned this saying a few years ago, and it's the same for everything, but especially crypto. Mistakes love a rush decision.
Oh yes.
And when you're like, oh my God, Shiba's done like 1,000% in 5 days, I need to get in, or you're not checking stuff. And I saw one guy say on Twitter about a month ago, he's like, I just sent my eHex to the testnet, PulseChain testnet. How do I get it back? I'm like, no, man, no. Like, why would you do that? Like,
That hurts my soul to think about.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that have sent it to the contract address and stuff, and shout out to Hex Turbo. I'm not sure if you know who he is. He's a UK hexagon, and he got me into crypto, and he's been in crypto since 2016 or 17, and he schooled me. He was like, get a Trezor from day one, no digital backups, no photos of your seed phrase, always double check, or triple check the addresses and everything like that. So I had that drilled in from the beginning, and I agree with you. It's like, go slow, learn this stuff properly. But yeah, the ultimate thing is having a separate laptop, because you're right. You don't really, if you have the separate laptop and it never really touches the internet unless you're doing a transaction and you're not connecting to dodgy sites, you're not inputting your seed phrase, that whole laptop is pretty much one big hardware wallet. So that's a really good tip.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Papa B for that, because that was an amazing piece of advice that he gave on a stream he did a long time ago. So I can't take that as my own, but that's just passing on his information. So kudos to him for that.
Yeah, and even if you don't have the separate laptop, have a hardware wallet. Have that key where you have to sign it. Because I heard someone saying the other day, I think it was on one of your streams, someone asked, I think they must have been quite new, and they're like, I'm getting really paranoid about someone hacking my Trezor. I think they asked you that question on one of your live streams, and only if you give them your seed phrase, right? I think people are worried that they can somehow, hack into the Trezor and get everything off it. And that Trezor or that ledger acts as a key, just like if you locked your door or you locked your car, no one can do the transaction without, that. So if you're using it through a MetaMask, even if they got the seed phrase for your MetaMask, they couldn't access your funds if they're behind a hardware wallet. So yeah, I think the number one is definitely having a separate laptop, but at the bare minimum, learn the basics and have a hardware wallet. You're a ledger guy yourself?
I didn't really, like, when I got my ledger, I did the tiniest bit of research, and it's kind of not really to my detriment, but I should have done more to really understand the why or why not I would choose one or the other. But I have a ledger, so I made a ledger video. If I had a Trezor, I'd also make a Trezor video as well. I don't have a preferred favorite at the moment, but I am definitely going to have to look into that to be able to give that my thoughts on that eventually. If there's a case for or against one more than the other, I definitely want to present that. But right now I'm pretty neutral on both. I just happen to own a ledger.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both good. Hex Turbo, he's got both. He started with a ledger. He's got a Trezor. He uses both of them, and yeah, they both do the job. So I don't. Obviously, I'm biased because I've been using Trezor since the beginning, but I think they're both simple. They're both pretty much the same thing. Have it stored behind that hardware wallet. You sign every transaction. Obviously, never give your seed phrase away. Another thing you can do with the Trezor, I'm not sure you can do it with the ledger, but you can have a password for accounts. They're like secret accounts. So even if somebody got your seed phrase, if they didn't, it's kind of like a 25th seed phrase word, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
So even if someone got your seed phrase, they couldn't get into your secret account unless they had that password. And any password they put in, it brings them into a new account that has nothing in it. So basically, it opens a new account, and there's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, there's nothing in it. So it looks like they've just got a ledger with nothing in it. It's a really handy, it's just a handy thing that lets you sleep safe at night, that even if someone got your seed phrase, they still couldn't get your funds without that secret account passphrase. But if you lose it, again, right, you're done. So it has to be backed up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. I didn't actually know that, so I'm gonna check that out and see if that's a thing I can do, because that's really good information to have. That's something that I think everyone should really consider for sure.
Yeah, because again, no one should ever see your seed phrase. But worst case scenario, let's say that you were a bit lackadaisical and you were moving house, and somehow you lost a notebook that had things written down in it. Unless they had that passphrase, that 25th seed phrase word, they couldn't get in. I learned that from Papa B actually, and then I started Googling it. Obviously, he's the man when it comes to crypto security, and so look into that, man, because again, it just gives you another layer of security behind your funds. And definitely, all my PulseChain, all my PLS is definitely going into one of those accounts.
Oh yeah, that's great advice. So thank you. I'm definitely gonna do that.
So obviously, you're making content, you're making regular content, you're streaming, you mean your subs and obviously your engagement's going up there. It's great. How do you think we get mainstream adoption once PulseChain goes live?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that there's a few things. I think that one, we can't rely on myself or you or any content creator specifically. I think everyone has to, take it into their own hands to start talking about PulseChain, to even just planting the seed, and starting the conversation, because there are more people that you and I and all the content creators in our little sphere that we can't reach than we can. And those are the people who we don't have access to, but the people that we have access to, right? Through degrees of separation, right? So I think that the way we get adoption is through people finding out and, understanding as much as possible why what we're doing and the ecosystem that's being built and everything, all the protocols and all the projects and products that are being built on it, why it's different than the rest of crypto, and why it should be something that someone should take the time to invest, their time and energy into understanding enough to maybe put some money into, So I think mass adoption comes from all of us individually, not from one specific event.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Like, obviously only one person or even 10 people, 100 people can do so much. Yeah, it's about, even if you're going to start tweeting about it, making TikTok videos, like yourself, like Fashion Coder, they're making videos, and both of you guys, you're both saying like, I'm learning and I'm teaching, and it's just spreading the word, but doing it in a great way. So no matter how small your contribution is, I think everyone should go out there and play their part, because we know that inflation's eating away everyone's money. Working for the man and hoping that your social security is going to look after you and stuff is I think that's a bigger risk than not investing, in my opinion. So
I couldn't agree more. And I think even that conversation is a great one to have to lead into crypto. If you're painting that picture, maybe that's even more important than the primary education of what PulseChain and Hex is. Because if someone understands the underlying premise of what's potentially coming, on a societal level, I think the conversation of PulseChain and everything to do with it becomes way more relevant, and you're going to pique people's interest. So maybe that's the key conversation that needs to be had prior to PulseChain, because otherwise people are just going to see it like they saw on like their morning show with coffee, and they're going to be seeing it as this crazy risky investment that might go down 90%, might go up 9,000%, but it's way too risky to know whether it's worth it or not, right? So I think painting that proper picture is very important in that. I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, thanks, man. Going back to what you said before, the way they negatively frame crypto in the mainstream media, they kind of say like, better the devil right? Better stick with legacy finance, and better just do the 9 to 5, because you don't want to wake up and all your money's gone. And of course that can happen, especially like we've seen with Luna and a lot of meme coin and rug pulls. But if you invest in a good project, yes, it's going to have a retrace and a pullback, especially in the bear market. But as long as you've got a long time frame, these things always go on to make all-time highs, and you only have to be around one bull and one bear market to really know how things work. Luckily for me, and I think you said before, you were finding out how to invest as well. We always probably are on the same page. We wanted to know there's more out there than just working the 9 to 5 until you're 65 years old. And I got into some ETFs and blue chip stocks earlier on, and I just kind of knew like there's going to be dips, but as long as I hold long enough, I'll be up. So luckily I took that kind of mindset into crypto, where it's great, when it goes up a lot, but I know when it goes down that as long as I don't sell, I'm okay.
Where do you think you learned that? Was that like an intuitive thing, or you learned that from family or friends, or you understood that after time in the markets? Like, how did you learn that?
Good question, man. Well, firstly, preceding that, I just think it's terrible that at school we learn, okay, it's great that we have like English and arithmetic and all these things, but then why aren't we taught like how to budget, right? How to invest, how to go to a job interview, and how to like, sell yourself. So I was always a bit miffed that like, why didn't we get these stuff at school? But I kind of know why, because of course they want the middle class and the working class to carry on being good little boys and girls, I think anyway. So I always wanted to know that. I always knew there was more to it. So even like as a teenager, and I definitely wasn't, I'm not trying to say like I was some, outlier, but I knew I'd heard about stocks and shares and stuff, and I got some books on it and just started reading about basic like stocks and shares and how they work. So, okay, when you buy a stock and share, you're buying a piece of the company apparently. And, if that company's price goes up, then you can, take profits, and then there's dividend paying shares. So I got a stock trading account with my bank when I was young, like,
oh wow,
like maybe 19, 20, 21.
That's pretty young.
I didn't know what I was doing. Like, honestly, I was just, I was like, oh, that's a big company. And they were just blue chip stocks, right? So I'll buy that. I'll buy that. And I think I bought like 3 companies. I don't even know what it was. It might have been like BP. I might have even bought one of the banks like Barclays or something. And again, they didn't move up and down much, but they still, I could log in every day and I could see them going up and down a bit. And I was like, wow, this is exciting, right? Because I've got like £5, right? You know, more than I had. We obviously in the UK, we use British pounds than I had yesterday. Oh no, I'm down £7, whatever. So that was exciting. That piqued my interest. And then I lived in Asia for a long time as well. I lived in Southeast Asia, and I was earning some okay money, and I was just holding it in cash a lot of the time. And in Asia, a lot of Chinese communities, they hold their savings in gold, right? So in Chinatowns all around the world, you can just go and buy gold from these shops, like literally gold bars.
Crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Kind of piqued my interest, and I just started buying gold bars, like physical gold bars. Got a safe in my house, and every time I got paid, I'd buy gold bars, and then I'd track the price of gold, and that's how I learned how to DCA. Because at the time, someone I knew had told me to, look into this. And this guy was actually, he was older than me. He was like a gems dealer. And I brought the gold, and then one day I was buying gold for a couple of months, and the price dropped. There must have been some sort of like mini pullback.
Right.
And I was like, oh, the price of gold's gone down. He's like, good, buy more. I was like, why would I do that? And he's like, average out your average buy. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense, because now my average buy is going to be cheaper than, so then I started doing that, and I held physical gold for years, and it was good because it was a barrier between me spending the money, right? Because if I wanted that money in cash, I got to go to my safe, open up, take it down to Chinatown, go to the shop, sell it, get the cash, and then go spend it. So there was some friction between me spending the money, and that also kept me looking at the gold markets, got me interested in the precious metals. So that, and then when I moved back to Europe a few years ago, I got back into, what ETFs are, exchange traded funds.
Yep, roughly, yep.
Yeah, so you do something like Vanguard, and you have these tracker funds, and they perform normally 6-7% a year, which is nothing compared to crypto,
of course,
but it's better than just keeping your money in the bank. So I was doing that, and again, I watched the markets and I saw dips, and I just knew, you just don't sell. So reading those books, going around the houses here, going back from reading those books in the library in high school, and then just playing around with different kind of assets, I just knew that you only lose if you sell in a dip, right?
Right.
And as long as it's not like a rug pull coin that's going to zero, never coming back. Just kind of like just hold and it will come back. So when I got into crypto, I didn't really need to hear that, because I kind of knew that when things dip, I'm cool. Like I'm in this for the long term, and with a long enough time frame, you will see a price appreciation.
That's really cool. That's actually a really interesting way. Like, it's very fortunate to have someone in your life that just kind of like gave you that little intel of like, hey, you should buy instead of selling right now, and then everything clicked afterwards. That's pretty amazing.
Because our instinct is, oh, I've got less money, this sucks.
Yep.
And actually, when someone says no, because obviously you keep buying, and then obviously the price goes back up again, and you can sell higher. And it got addictive, kind of like crypto. I had this app on my phone at the time which tracked the gold price in the world, and every time the gold price moved, it would like ping my phone. And again, I got this little dopamine hit, right? Like off that. So and then obviously crypto's taken that to the next level. But like you, I've always known there's more to than just 9 to 5.
Right. Yeah. I feel like you get to a certain point when you start looking into finance even a little bit, and to like comment on your school, on what you're saying with the school stuff as well. It's interesting because I feel like if they didn't teach us it for many reasons potentially, but I think one of the possible reasons is because if they teach us about the school system, we understand what money actually is that we're using. And if we understand what money actually is, we understand the system. If we understand the system, we understand who's running the system, and we understand really what's going on. They can't have that. So, I think though it's a natural progression. You start looking into stocks and stuff, and you start getting a little bit interest into finance. And then I think it's a natural progression to lead to crypto, but whether or not you dip your toe in versus jumping in is the big question. So I think, that's a really interesting story though.
When did you first hear about crypto?
Oh, I guess it would have been, I was actually, okay. So I think it was 2012 when I was at I was coaching skiing at the time. I was at a little event. We were having dinner, all the parents and the kids were all there. And one of the parents came up to me, and I was with a group of friends, or the kids I was coaching. And she came up and she said, Bitcoin is the thing of the future. You guys should look into it. And this is 2011, right? She's like, it's going to be the currency in the future, all this. And we all looked at her like, I don't know what you're saying, but I don't want anything to do with that. And then like look back on 2017 when I first heard or secondarily heard about it, and it was doing that crazy bull run up to 19K. And I was thinking back and like, oh my God, she was right. Oh no. And so from there, it kind of planted the seed in my mind that this thing was real and that there was potential obviously with it. And I think a couple years later, I started to get a little bit more interested in it, but never really clicked. You know, the idea of Bitcoin for me it seemed like it was like MySpace in a social media world, and social media evolved into now what is Instagram, Facebook, and soon to be Meta. Right. So it never made sense. So that's pretty much how I got the start. It wasn't like a big financial shift or anything like that. It was just, it happened to come into my perception, stayed there, and slowly progressed as I learned a little bit here, a little bit there about it into what it is today.
Man, that sounds very, very similar. We've got a lot of parallels. I think I heard about it around 2012. Someone said, hey, this Bitcoin thing, you got to look into it. And I think at the time, I may be wrong, but it was around 25 bucks, I think.
Right.
Or something like that. And I was like, I don't get it, man. Like, it's like, is it money? Is it not money? Is it code on a computer? How has that got value? And then again, I heard about it through the years, heard about the 2017 bull run, started a Coinbase account. And luckily I didn't buy it because I nearly bought it at the top. And to be honest, it kind of annoyed me, right? Because it's like all these people are making mad gains. I don't really understand how it works. I kind of want it to go away, and I just want to focus on, and that's human nature. A lot of the time we're so lazy. We're just like, I don't want to learn something new, right? You know?
Totally.
Even when I found out about Hex and Pulse, I was already deep down the rabbit hole in Bitcoin, Ethereum, different altcoins. And my friend Hex Turbo was like, you got to look at Hex, you got to look at this PulseChain sacrifice. And I was kind of like, I Googled it a bit and people were like, scam. And I was like, good. I'm not good because I want him to get wrecked, but good because I don't want to have to learn all this stuff, man. I'm already just going down the rabbit hole, all this other stuff. And that's, I think a lot of the time you have to like pull yourself out of that lazy mindset and be like, let me take a look at least, right? Because how many good opportunities do you think we both, or anyone in watching the chat, in watching the video has passed up on because they like, no, I know it all already, right? Like I know the best diet, I know the best workout regime, I know the best way to, conduct a job interview. And to be honest, we've all got blind spots. So it's good to be open-minded.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I think those blind spots they're for our benefit sometimes in a way, but also like, like you were saying in the beginning, like you just don't see the point. I think once we find out why, that big underlying why we should care, then everything changes. But until that, it's like, well, why? I don't want to put in the work to something I don't understand. It's like a natural thing. No, like if you don't understand the benefit of going to the gym, let's say, right? You don't understand the why, even if it's a personal why, you're never going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. You're never going to go and you're not going to spend the hour or 2 hours a day to invest time to go break your muscles down and basically, injure yourself very, 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 very slightly, essentially. Right.
Yeah.
So
cause micro tears to the muscles. Yeah,
exactly. Right. So, I mean, of course people are going to not want to do that. I know. And I think once the narrative finally shifts to that why, and people start to get it, we're going to see that continuously. And you and I are constantly going to be doing what your friend was doing. And what people were doing for me is like, you should invest in this. You should look into this. And like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
It's, you know what it is, man. It's human nature that, and I think, we've got the same hardware and the same software that we did like, 10,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago. And I think that you don't want to expend more energy than you have to. And that's why a lot of the time, and I'm not perfect, I'm far from it, but one thing that I think has helped me a lot through life is being more open-minded. Now, definitely I've had my times, just like my friend tried to intro Hex and Pulse to me, where it's like, no, but then he'd planted a seed in my head that I couldn't. So even though I was like, no, at first, I was like, I got to just have a look to see if I'm missing out on stuff here.
Yep.
And I think human nature, we don't want to have to learn something new because it's laborious and it's going to take time, but the upside could be huge, like Hex and Pulse, is and will be. So we kind of comes back to, of course, don't jump into anything with both feet first without doing any research. Totally. But of course, if something sounds good, at least take a look, at least spend a bit of time doing some research because there could be something in there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think like honestly, one of my biggest takeaways from learning crypto is don't be ignorant of new and emerging technology and sectors. Like pay attention, because there's opportunities there that you might miss if you're not someone who is paying attention and a little bit earlier than the majority of people. You know, that's I think that's one of my biggest takeaways is being diligent and not being like, oh, I don't understand it. It's too new. Therefore, I'm not going to pay attention to it. You know, that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned coming through all this, which is, I'd say, pretty damn important.
If the most important, man, if you can, and this sounds for anything, not just crypto, if you take the time to be diligent and apply yourself, you can learn anything in life. And if you can't, it's because it doesn't interest you, which is fine. No one has to do anything they don't want to do, but it's not because other people are gifted, right? Let's be honest. The majority of people, in fact, not just the majority, we're all cut from the same cloth. And unless you're not like, you know, severely handicapped or anything, if you apply yourself and you put in the time, you can learn stuff. I remember last year I was talking to some girl and something about crypto came up and she's like, oh, you're into crypto? I was like, yeah, like, you know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, this. And she was like, oh, that's all just, it's too hard to learn. And I was like, listen, just look into it. She's like, no, I don't understand it. And I think about that often because that was like a year and maybe more now, a year and a half ago. And how much, if that girl had like started watching YouTube videos and applied herself, how far would she be down the road? 18 months passed, the time passed anyway, right? So it's just sad to think that people just dismiss things like, oh, that person was born good at tech or good at crypto. It's like, no, everyone had to get their treasure and write the seed phrase down and learn step by step and what's not. So yeah, man, definitely a good takeaway for everyone is don't just dismiss stuff off the bat. At least take a look before writing it off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, like if people were to just think that like you are just naturally gifted at learning crypto and understanding these things, right? They would never have known that you've literally been investing since you're around 20, 21 years old, and you've put in the serious time to understand this, right? It takes a long time, and depending on how much you invest in it too, right? Like it takes so much more work. And even the guys who are, I think, people that have maybe genetic disposition to be better at certain things naturally than others, they get better than most people at it, but they still put in more effort. Like if you look at the people who are highly successful at anything, whether they're business or sports or anything, those are the people that put in 10,000 hours within the first handful of years versus other people put 10,000 hours in over a decade.
Oh, you know? Yeah, mastery, right?
Exactly.
The book by Malcolm Gladwell, and
there's one by Robert Greene as well.
In life, right?
Have you read the one by Robert Greene on mastery?
My favorite author.
He's so good. He's so good.
That book, Mastery. I mean, any young person should read that. Anyone should read it anyway. But yeah, he goes deep in the psychology and what's about it, and going back into your past and finding what you resonated with. So yeah, actually, you're right. The Malcolm Gladwell is where the 10,000 hours come from, but Mastery by Robert Greene, another level.
Yep.
Dude, this has been epic. This has been so good. I'm really glad you took the time to come on. Before you go, I always now do a quick fire questions with my interviewees. Sorry,
for sure.
So do you mind quick fire questions? 8 questions, 1-word answers, or 1 sentence, no more.
Sure,
sound good?
Let's do it.
Cool. Number 1, best piece of advice you were ever given.
Oh, this is like picking a song. Best piece of advice. Man, that's hard. I'm just gonna say, breathe.
Man, it's good. Deep breaths.
Yep.
Favorite food.
Stir fry.
Good. Nice.
Yeah.
First ever crypto you bought.
Shiba Inu.
Biggest celebrity teenage crush.
One of the I can't remember who it was from TSN. There's one of the commentators.
Okay.
I can't remember her name, but she's on there.
She's hot.
Yeah.
Number 1 piece of advice for no coiners.
Keep trying. Keep trying to learn. It will click eventually.
Yeah. Keep going until the clicking happens.
Exactly.
One thing you haven't done yet, but you must do before you die. Something from the bucket list. Either
skydive or experience like a near 200 or 2000 wheel horsepower car. I need to experience something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be like catapulted, like G-force in one of those demons, right?
Oh, I know. Well, you see that the UGR, the Hex Lamborghini that won at 2KX,
Yeah.
The Texas competition.
Yeah,
that thing was over 2,000. That thing, oh, I can't even imagine what that's like.
Man, you know what's crazy? Well, those cars that have got so much horsepower, they're too powerful. Like they can't a lot of the time they can't get grip on the road because they're so powerful. They're literally sliding around.
And that's with all-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. It's
insane.
That would be dope. Worst investment you ever made?
Worst investment ever made. I had a 1997 Subaru that was a little race car that I basically bought and altogether cost me over $20,000, and I got $3,500 at the end of the day for it.
Ouch. That's what you call a depreciating asset.
Oh, yeah.
And last but not least, advice to your younger self.
Don't take everything so personally and laugh. Learn to laugh at as many things as you can more.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I can tell that you read Robert Greene for sure. Listen, dude, where can people find out more about you? Where can they find you online?
Yeah, for sure. You can, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at CRYPTOGRFX. I have a website as well where I usually post the blogs related to each video. You can actually go to CRYPTOGRFX.com. And if you have any questions, you can always fire me an email. You can never be shy. There's never too many questions you can ask me. If I get flooded, it may take me some more time, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. And other than that, really, those are my two main places. Also, actually, I should say this. So it's come to my attention on Telegram. There is a CryptoGraphics trading group. I don't have any groups. I never will have any groups on Telegram. And if I do, I will personally announce them. I have a Instagram that is very underwhelming, and I plan on keeping it that way. So that way, if there is people that are trying to pretend to be me to scam you, that it's pretty obvious that I am not trying to have anything going on Instagram. So Twitter and my website are the two places that you can contact me directly. Everywhere else, it's not me. Please don't communicate with them.
Awesome, man. Always about being safe. Listen, man, you're going to have to come back on the channel at some point. This has been epic. I appreciate you. I appreciate your content, and stay in touch, man. Thanks a lot for coming on the channel.
Absolutely. This has been a blast. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to connect with you, Matt. We'll definitely do this again.
Cheers, buddy. Take care.
Cheers. Later.
CryPTOGRFX, what a legend. Guys, definitely go and follow him on his YouTube channel. I'm actually going to drop that after this video in the description below. Follow him on Twitter. Great mind, great look on life, great mindset stuff. So guys, if you like videos like this, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new videos. Also, tap the like button, share the video with someone who you think it may benefit. And if you're watching the playback, drop a cheeky comment below for the algo down below. It does help us out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.